Welcome back to Unlimited Recaps. Today, we'll be diving into a horror suspense film from 2011 titled Vile. At the start of the movie, we see a man strapped to a table, but instead of a surgery, he's being tortured. The surgeon makes the first cut on his chest, then pours a generous amount of salt into the wound, causing the man immense pain. His suffering intensifies as a strange chemical starts oozing from his head. The surgeon collects this chemical in a small jar. The man's agony drags on until he finally dies. The surgeon then uses that chemical to make pills, carefully placing them into a briefcase as if they were something extremely valuable. After this intense scene, we shift to a group of 4 friends who are out camping. Among them is Nick, his wife, and 2 of their friends. Nick's wife is pregnant. While they're driving, they stop at a gas station where they meet a woman who claims to be a model. She explains that her car ran out of gas a little ways off, but she has some now and just needs a ride back to her car. Nick agrees to give her a lift, though his wife doesn't feel good about it. Despite her discomfort, they help the woman. But things take a dark turn when, after dropping her off, she returns to the car wearing a mask. Though with her, she brings a strange device, spraying something that knocks all 4 friends unconscious. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself tied up in a strange house with 5 others, including a man named Sam. Before they can understand their situation, Sam's friend, a businessman, pulls a nail from one of Nick's friends, sparking an angry fight. Nick calms them down, and they realize they're trapped in a twisted game. The businessman explains he did it because of a video. They head upstairs, and a 22-hour timer's counting down. A woman appears on screen, revealing that they wear devices around their necks that extract a chemical produced only by intense pain. They have 22 hours to fill 9 bars, each requiring 100% to escape or face dire consequences. To fill the bars, they must inflict pain on themselves or each other, filling jars attached to their devices with the special chemical. The more pain they endure, the faster the bars will fill. But there's no way out. The house is completely locked down. They've already tried to escape only to fail, so now their only option is to hurt each other. However, not everyone is on board with this horrific plan. One of their friends is completely terrified. Refusing to hurt anyone, he tries to rip the device off his own neck. As he struggles, the pain causes Barr to move up slightly, but as soon as he manages to remove the device. As soon as he removed the device from his neck, he died on the spot. To everyone's shock, the percentage on the 9 bars dropped because the chemical from his brain was wasted. However, it didn't go back to 0 completely, since some of the chemical had already been extracted earlier when Nick's friend had his nail ripped out. The group was shaken by the death of one of their own. Tara, Sam's selfish friend, suggested the boys should suffer alone, but the businessman shot her down, insisting everyone must suffer equally. To expedite the process, he volunteered to endure pain, sitting in a chair while the group beat him for an hour, only raising the bar to 7%. Exhausted and seeking a quicker method, they spotted a tool nearby and decided to use it. For realizing that more intense pain would increase the bar's percentage faster, the businessman regretted his decision. The group tied him to a table, and Tara took the lead in torturing him. She started by hitting him with a stick, then cut off his nails and began stabbing him, breaking both his knees in the process. Just as she was about to kill him, Nick intervened. The group, horrified, accused Tara of going too far, but she defended her actions, claiming she didn't know when to stop. Despite everything, the businessman was still alive, barely hanging on, but the group realized that even after all that torture, the bar hadn't gone up by much. Frustrated, Tara suggested, "Why don't we just stop? Let's sit back and wait for the timer to end. What's the point of all this?" Tara thought they could just sit and wait, hoping someone would come to save them, and then they'd run away. But deep down, they all knew that wasn't going to happen. If they didn't complete the task, the devices around their necks would kill them all. So the question came up again, who was next? So Nick took charge. She went to the kitchen, broke a plate into several pieces, and with one of the shards, she cut her finger. So using her own blood, she wrote numbers on the pieces and passed them around. Each person picked a piece, and their turns were set. He was the unlucky one to go next. But this time, everyone agreed no one would go too far. No one would break any bones, and the torture would be controlled. They just needed to inflict enough pain to raise the percentage by 6%. Once everyone had gone through their turn, they'd take a break and go through another round until the bar was completely filled. Now it was Sam's turn. He stepped up to the table, but when he took off his shirt, they were shocked to see his body covered in scars and wounds. Sam was laid down, and a heated metal plate was placed on his stomach. Surprisingly, he didn't flinch. In fact, he calmly said, "Pull out my nails," so Nick did just that. Sam endured the pain without screaming or even making a sound, which impressed the others and gave them the courage to continue. Sam was brave, just like Jahan. Next, it was Nix's turn, and this made her wife extremely upset. She started crying, but Nick had some painkiller pills with her, ones that could make a person sleep and dull their pain. In an attempt to ease her husband's suffering, she took some pills herself and gave some to Nick before his turn. However, this was a big mistake. As the group started torturing Nick, the bar moved very slowly. The whole point was for him to feel the pain so the chemical could be produced, but because of the pills, his brain couldn't release enough of it into the jar. His wife hadn't thought this through, and when she realized her mistake, it was too late. Nick had to endure even more torture now. They used a drill on him, and finally, after an excruciating ordeal, the bar hit 6%. Everyone was relieved, but the tension remained high. Sam's friend, terrified that it was now his turn, tried to hide in fear, but the group found him and dragged him out. They tortured him ruthlessly at one point. They even shoved a spoon into his mouth, cutting it deeply. He was in agony. Meanwhile, Nick started coming to, furious at his wife for giving him the pills. Nick's wife, in an emotional moment, told Nick that she was pregnant. Tara overheard their conversation and became disturbingly excited. She realized that not only would Nick's wife have to endure the torture, but now her unborn child would also be at risk. She saw this as an opportunity to make the bar rise even faster. It was Nick's turn to be tortured, but he decided to give the remaining painkillers to the businessman, hoping to ease his suffering. However, Tara, with her cruel intentions, wasn't letting up and continued to push things too far. This angered Nick's friend, who couldn't take it anymore. He punched Tara, knocking her unconscious. Now it was time for Nick to face the torture, but his condition was visibly worsening. Seeing this, both of Nick's friends stepped forward, determined to help. The three of them decided to work together. They would use water to open the device around Nick's neck, trying to survive long enough to get their 6% of the bar filled. As they prepared to endure the torture, Nick's wife's friend hesitated, stepping back in fear, while Nick's wife and her other friend bravely carried on with the plan. They submerged their arms in the water, repeatedly enduring the pain. But as they were doing this, Tara regained consciousness. She took a knife and, in a fit of rage, stabbed Nick's friend. Just as she lunged with a piece of chalk, Nick sprang from behind, incapacitating her and leaving her unconscious. With Tara down, her health bar dropped to 48%, and the timer ticked down to 53 hours. Now it was Tara's turn to face the wrath she had inflicted on others for so long. The others were ready to retaliate, and Tara knew what was coming. In a desperate move, she grabbed a tool and stabbed it into Nick's neck, causing blood to pour out quickly. Nick fell, her health bar vanished, and Tara's chemical reserve diminished. Seeing Nick's friend infuriated, he charged at Tara with the intent to kill. But Nick quickly intervened, urging him to think twice. Don't do it. That would be a huge mistake. If you go through with this, we'll all suffer even more. Reluctantly, Nick's friend agreed but insisted he wanted to make Tara pay. He picked up a crane and struck her neck, followed by torturing her with a cutting machine, ensuring she felt every bit of the pain she had caused. As Tara lay unconscious, her health bar climbed to 85%. However, time was running out. They had only 1 hour left to fill it completely. The remaining 5 made a desperate decision. They would break their necks. It would hurt, but it was the only way to finish filling the bar. Nick's friend took the wrench and went around, breaking everyone's neck one by one. When it came to Nick's wife, he hesitated, but Nick stepped in, grabbing the wrench and breaking his own bone. Miraculously, that action completed the bar. Suddenly, the video of the woman resumed, her voice echoing in the room. "Very well, you've all succeeded. Now, head to the upstairs room where a device will extract your chemical roots. After that, you're free to leave," taking turns to have the device remove their net. One by one, they exited through the door. But as Nick's friend stepped out, he paused, sensing a familiar presence. He couldn't quite place it, but could hear the faint sound of someone he recognized. When he stepped outside, the horrific sight struck him. Everyone was lying dead, victims of Sam's rampage. In a panic, he rushed to stab Nick's friend before darting into another room. Inside, Nick's wife was still trying to help the businessman escape. As he gasped for breath, he revealed, "I heard about a group that tortures people to extract their chemicals for medicine, 12,000 a pill. I thought I could make a fortune, but I didn't know I'd end up like this." Before he could finish, he collapsed, his life slipping away and taking Nix's hopes with him. The health bar plummeted to 89%, meaning Nix's wife was now trapped. She had to fill the bar herself, or she would face the same fate. Without wasting a moment, she began torturing herself. First, she poured bleach on her arm, then slammed it in the door repeatedly, inflicting horrific pain. She burned herself on her waist and pressed it against the bar, desperately pushing to fill it. Just as she completed the bar, it was her turn to escape. But Sam wasn't done yet. He activated his device, triggering poison in everyone's system. As they writhed in agony, Nick learned the shocking truth: this was Sam's fifth group, and he had been the mastermind behind their suffering. Despite the scars etched on his body, Sam was just a servant to a larger organization. Seizing the moment, Nick prepared himself. He had brought a sharp tool to take down Sam. After confronting him, Nick managed to take the medicine lying nearby, fighting for his life. He also shared some with his friend, but it was too late. His friend succumbed to his injuries. Nix's wife, gravely injured, tried to make her way out but collapsed from blood loss, leaving Nick to confront this nightmare alone. He cut through the door lock with a cutter and finally escaped. Days later, Nick sat in a hotel across from the same gas station, waiting for the very model he had trapped in the game. As soon as Sam arrived, he sprang into action. Before Sam could prey on someone else, Nick attacked, knocking him unconscious. He shoved to his car, determined to extract revenge on the group that had caused so much pain, most of all for his wife and child. Please give the article a like and a comment if you liked it. Make sure to hit the channel subscribe button since I post a lot of movie recaps.